According to the Terence Crawford haters, Terence Crawford is not a draw. According to the Terence Crawford haters, nobody wants to see Terence Crawford fight. According to the Terence Crawford haters, Terence Crawford's resume is trash and Terence Crawford didn't beat anybody. According to the Terence Crawford haters, Terence Crawford is hard to work with. According to the Terence Crawford haters, Terence Crawford is on the wrong side of the street, and in order to do business, you have to be on the right side of the street. According to the Terence Crawford haters, Terence Crawford is no good, and he's a bum. So, I like to ask the Terence Crawford haters, since Terence Crawford is no good, and if he's a bum, why does Turki Al-Ashi allegedly want to pay him $50 million to fight in Saudi Arabia? Why? If he ain't no draw, why the Turk want to see him? Can somebody explain that? We gonna get into it. Ever since July 29th, 2023, a lot of dreams have been crushed and false narratives have been put to bed because there was a slander campaign going on against Terence Crawford by fans of Errol Spence. And Errol Spence came up short, and the slander was not able to be backed up by Errol's performance. So, since the slander wasn't able to be backed up by Earl's performance, his fans have to do everything they can to invalidate everything Terence Crawford does. But the reality is, Terence Crawford is the draw that people think Errol Spence is. Because I often hear, oh, nobody's gonna put money up for Terence Crawford. Who wants to see Terence Crawford fight? Who's gonna put the money up? The Turk Al-Ashi of Saudi Arabia is apparently going to put the money up to see Terence Crawford fight because the Turk Al-Ashi of Saudi Arabia recognizes talent. He doesn't fall for Twitter narratives or fall for the hype. He sees what he sees with his eyes, and his eyes is not playing tricks on him. He don't play favorites. So we're going to talk about the Turk showing favor to Terence Crawford and allegedly offering him $50 million for a super fight in Saudi at 154. Now, I heard through the grapevine that Terence Crawford was offered $50 million to fight Tim Tszyu in Saudi Arabia by the great Turk Al-Ashi, who's coming back to save boxing. And the great thing about this is the fights will be happening in Saudi Arabia overseas. So there won't be any excuses for why certain fights can't happen. So there won't be Al Heyman as an excuse. There won't be Eddie Hearn as an excuse. There won't be Bob Arum as an excuse. There won't be wrong side of the street as an excuse. Now we get the chance to see the fights that we deserve. And I'm excited to see Tim Tszyu versus Terence Crawford if it actually happens. It should be Terence Crawford versus Sebastian Fundora, but lying as Samson, however you say his last name is, he's trying to campaign for Errol Spence versus Fedora. So what's going to happen is Fedora is going to vacate his belts to honor the wishes of his promoter. So Sebastian Fundora wants the biggest and best fights because he even stated that he wanted to challenge Terence Crawford. But we know how the business works. Sebastian Fundora is going to do whatever his promoter tells him to do. And that may come with vacating the belt and not being a champion anymore. So it should be interesting to see how this all plays out. Now, I'm hearing rumblings of people are under the impression that Terence Crawford is ducking Jaron Boots Ennis. Terence Crawford is afraid of Jaron Boots Ennis. And me personally, I don't agree with those things because we seen what Terence Crawford did to Errol Spence. The thing that most people don't understand about the sport of boxing is that boxing is not a sport, it's a business. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Regardless of what you want to see as a fan, when you think about these promotional companies and these fighters and the people that's putting the money behind these fighters, they have to dish out a lot of money that they have hopes on recouping. And some of these fights just don't make sense financially. So this is a question that I asked to anybody that wants to see Jaron Boots Ennis versus Terence Bud Crawford. Who's going to put the money up for Boots? Al Heyman clearly wasn't going to put the money up for Boots, which is why he signed with Eddie Hearn in Matchroom. I don't think Eddie Hearn is going to put the money up for Boots. So for everybody that's saying Terence Crawford is ducking Boots, Terence Crawford is not ducking anything. A fight with Boots doesn't make sense financially right now. And it's interesting how the narrative change when it's a fighter that you like, because a lot of people understand this in terms of the Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson situation, but in the Terence Crawford, Jaron Ennis situation, they act like they don't understand how the business works. One thing I can guarantee, and one thing I recommend for all fans of the sport of boxing, do not get your information from Twitter, because Twitter is full of misinformation and people who have objectives and they want to push narratives for certain fighters. So many of these Twitter stans or fans of fighters or whatever you want to call these people, they have no objectivity because some of them are being paid to push certain narratives. And I'm not going to say anything further besides if you know, you know. So don't take anything you see on Twitter as fact unless you see that it has been confirmed. Because there are a lot of narrative pushers on Twitter. And the narrative has gotten so crazy that people are actually believing these narratives to be true. So be wary of the information you consume and who you get your information from. Because a lot of people be lying, and they lie blatantly with no shame. In closing, I just want to say, be wary of the narrative pushers. These people have no shame, and they will lie blatantly to push a narrative. Don't be like these people. When you see these people, call them out for the bullshit that they're spewing and make them stand on the lies that they're spewing. Because when you call people out on the lies that they're spewing, they cower and they can't really stand on it. So anytime you run into a narrative pushing liar, call their ass out and make them stand on the bullshit they spewing. And let me know how that turned out.